welcome back. Book of Travels recently had its first big content update, so there's now 2 new areas for us to explore. So for this video, I decided I'm going to do things a little bit different. It'll start out with just me wandering around these new places with no commentary, so you can take in the atmosphere and decide for yourself if you want to explore the rest on your own. After that, it'll become a spoiler zone where I step through what we know can be found and gained by visiting these places, ending things with a bit of a mystery that is in need of your help to solve. Also, I left some timestamps in the video description if you want to skip around. The 2 new places are called Mistkeeper's Toe and the Underbelly. I'll reveal where you can find these places after our peaceful tour in case you want to discover where they are for yourself. First, here's Mistkeeper's Toe. Now entering the Underbelly. We've now arrived at the spoiler zone. I will be detailing everything that we know about these places, so turn back now if you don't want to be spoiled. After all, discovery is the primary gameplay mechanic of Book of Travels. Mistkeeper's Toe is a new three-way branching path between the areas of Western Harvest Route, Charwood Forest, and Lakatos String. There really isn't anything new here. The rumor is that this place was intended to be part of the original early access launch of the game, but wasn't able to be completed on time. But now it's here, and it's a lovely little place. I especially enjoy how at night you can see the lighthouse of Lakatos String shining in the distance. Something a bit odd about this place is that there haven't been any reported NPC sightings aside from a few animals and the usual Omeen scurrying about. Now, finally, onto the Underbelly. This place is by far the most in-depth of the new areas. I'll first step through the two primary items that you can find here, then talk a little bit about the mystery that has yet to be solved. First of all, spoilers, to get into the Underbelly, you need to navigate to the place called the Burnings, which has a few of these tower-looking things, two of which have doorways that you can enter to get inside. So far, the community has only found two new items here. There's the ancient ferrite wood drum, one of the only instruments in the game, even though you can't actually play instruments yet. It's still a very noteworthy item. Its description reads, "This instrument harkens back to the ceremonial wind instruments of the First Age. Its heavy construction and double hide covers requires the drummer to use rocks and other weights to play it. But when this drum booms, the heavens listen." The other item is this lovely, detailed, luxurious lantern. A gold shimmering lantern with a worked pattern of branches and leaves forming a delicate basket around the light's source. Something to note about Underbelly is that it also contains several high-tier loot containers, meaning you have a chance to find some very rare items. For example, I found an ancient jade ring in one of these chests. Previously, this ring was only obtainable through Resna Rose Spring, meaning it would take considerably more time and effort to obtain it from her compared to this randomish drop. The community has also found something called an unearthed blade from Kuro, which seems like it could potentially become a powerful weapon if given to the right person, but we don't know who yet. It's currently uncertain if this is something exclusive to Underbelly or just a very rare random find. Now on to how to obtain these items. To get the lantern, there's unfortunately an element of random chance. Professor Linnea here must be present in your instance for the required quest item to even spawn. So you'll have to server hop until you see her wandering around in this south central area holding a torch near some flowing water. Once you find her, she'll tell you about how she's researching a rare species of Omeen that she has dubbed mosslings, and will reward you if you find evidence of their existence. Turns out what we're looking for is an item called Unknown Droppings, and it will be stored inside the smallest container type known as rock, meaning it's so small that it will really help you out if you zoom your camera in as far as it can go, have a light source, and keep a sharp eye out for the usual glimmer that appears on lootable items. A bit of advice to help locate these unknown droppings is to look at the area around Professor Linnea. You won't find the items right here, but there's another area that also has flowing water with several confirmed spawn locations. Give her the droppings and there you go. Now the drum requires quite a bit more effort, so bear with me. Normally, to begin this quest, you'll want to talk to all the ghosts in the area and use Align if they aren't yet visible, but this is not a requirement and is just meant to help introduce you to the lore of the place. If you want to get straight to the point and don't care about all the lore, you'll just need to acquire these three items. 7 Underbelly Mosses, 1 Sulfur Grains, and 1 Marble Shade. Underbelly moss can only be found here in the Underbelly. On the eastern side, near the Cheerful Baker, inside these tiny little rock-sized containers. Sulfur grains and marble shade technically can be found in Underbelly as well, but it'll save you a lot of time if you find them elsewhere. Sulfur grains can be bought in the excavation site of Cool Orchard during the day from the Rivenleaf Historian. Keep in mind that it must be sulfur grains. No other item with sulfur in the name will work. The marble shade, which is just a white mushroom, is most reliably found in the loud southern swampy region of Western Harvest Route. You might need to be here during the night for it to show up. I'm not completely sure though. Once you've gathered all the items, place them inside this brazier to gain a 30-minute ghost smoke effect. And for some weird reason, it is initially called a brazier, but once interacted with, it's referred to as a cauldron. A brazier is a shallow bowl intended for burning solid objects, whereas a cauldron is a deep-set bowl for containing and boiling liquids. Two very different shapes, so it must have been an oversight or something. It looks more like a brazier to me, though, considering all the smoke coming off of it. This effect will allow you to speak to all the surrounding ghosts, so go ahead and do this if you want to explore some of the lore. You have 30 minutes to do so, but technically the only ghost needed for the drum is in this narrower space in the south central area. So after interacting with them, their name will become Haljan Expedition Member. They'll tell you a story and give you a withered thread of recollection. Bring this thread up and over to the western side of the Underbelly to this glowing device. Like a lot of quest interactions in this game, it can be very uncooperative to get the trade prompt to show up. Keep walking away and back and away and back until you see the shaking hands interaction appear. Hand over the thread and it will become a soaked thread of recollection. Return this thread to the Haljan Expedition Ghost. Another case where you may need to do the little trade dance back and forth until the prompt shows up. And you've got yourself an old drum. The lantern and drum are the two primary quest rewards for the latest update that we're aware of. However, like I mentioned earlier, there is an unearthed blade from Kuro that can be randomly found in a chest. Its description mentions it could be serviced by a skilled smith. So if anyone out there manages to find out who this is, let me know. We now arrive at the mystery. It all starts with this statement right here. It is easy to get lost down here though, and rumor speaks of chambers that can only be reached by mystical means. Currently, we have no solid leads on where to go from this statement, but one guess is that this staircase may be involved somehow, considering how well framed and lit up it is. It doesn't have any current use that we are aware of either. It's also pretty far out of the way from everything else. Another highly suspicious area of Underbelly is the Eldin Statue Room. You can find some great random equipment in these chests, but these statues are very significant as they are the same ones connected to another major mystery known as the Eldin Statue Mystery. There's a lot to cover with that mystery, so I'm going to save it for another video. Now, there's an important Book of Travels anomaly to take into account that could come into play here as well. This game is no stranger to incomplete mysteries. So don't be surprised if the solution to something simply does not currently exist. It's very possible that all the clues leading up to something are here, but any further progress just is not possible. And this is all likely due to the game is still an early access thing, and that it's being made by a very small team that recently became much smaller, and they've never made an MMO before. So give them a break. even if it is a little frustrating for us as players. Here's an example to illustrate what I'm talking about. You may have come across a series of items called knotted silver threaded cords. They all contain clues that eventually lead you to the burnings and instruct you to search the tallest tower during a full moon. The current belief is that this was meant to lead players to the Underbelly, but the Underbelly had not yet been integrated into the game when these were found, so we spent a lot of time trying to get into this place to no avail. Still, there's that whole thing about during a full moon. There are several other items in the game that reference moon phases, such as blah 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 blah. I will be frequenting the Bridge Keeper on nights of the ebbing full moon. And then there's this particularly alarming one, found in the northern region of Charwood Forest, that states, when you behold the blaze of the surface of Earth's eye, both moon and sun together, the gate will open. Wow. There's actually a lot of established lore about the moon, including the moon well in the Jade Urn, which contains some kind of special water said to have mystical properties. And look, one of the Eldland statues is here too, which can also be found in the Underbelly, along with silk flowers that are said to grow in areas of mystical significance. In fact, the symbol used to represent spirituality is a crescent moon with a small flower shape inside it, and it's dripping water. But in case you haven't noticed, the game currently has no moon. We have no way of knowing what phase it is. There's even an area of Bat Saha Island called Moonwatcher Peak that has no visible moon any time of the night. The moon can never be seen. However, when you look at old screenshots of the game, guess what you can see over the horizon? And finally, I did a little digging and I found that during a developer interview, we can hear them talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. We are synced with the Gregorian calendar as such. So the weekdays are there, and the time is 24-hour rhythm, and night and days. Yeah, of course.
Moon phases.
Oh. Yeah, and moon phases.
So there's supposed to be a moon in the game that dictates when certain events do and do not happen, but it's not integrated into the game yet. So that means that one possibility is that we just can't access this mysterious chamber because of the lack of moon. That's just my theory though, so maybe we really can access the chamber and it has nothing to do with the moon. Who knows? Don't let this discourage you though. I encourage everybody to keep searching for more information and be sure to report back what you found. So that was everything that we currently know about the newly added areas. There is actually some new lore that was introduced regarding what the Underbelly is that I didn't cover, but I'm going to save that for my next video. The lore and all the community speculation surrounding it is actually one of the most interesting parts of the game, honestly. Here are some examples of various story and mystery things that I could cover. You know, things like the Eldon statue mystery, which is the longest running mystery in Book of Travels, the Sleeper, who is our glorious leader, the Cobalt Ribbon Gang, the Selka, Rivenleaf University, the Singer Rosaries and the Casa Incident, the Silent Ghost Warden Passage, the Battered and Bruised Run, the Mystic Weaver, the Living Door, the Floating Head, the Cloud, Vosnin, Moss Enthusiast, Baby Muscle Collection and how we don't want what happened in Meyer T to happen here, the Mystery of the Disappearing Emotes, Greetings 41, and the ever elusive
custom poem.